Hi, this is Tim with the Gilson Home Group. Today we're going to talk a little bit about what's going on with the prices in Southeast Michigan and all over the United States and what's causing these prices to go up so fast. So here's the thing. One of the basic economic realities is when you have a lot of demand for some good or service, naturally the price goes up. It's that old quantity of supply and quantity of demand argument. It still holds true with real estate. So let's talk a little bit more about historically what happened between sort of 1998 and 2005, at least in Southeast Michigan. July of 2005 was the peak of our market. We hyperinflated the demand for housing stock by pushing people into the market who were not really qualified. So we had kind of loose lending standards, if you will, and that inflated the demand for housing and inflated the pricing for housing at the same time. What we have going on since about 2014 and through today is something completely different. The principle is the same. Increased quantity of demand is pushing the price up. So what's really causing this increase in demand? Well, I missed it completely and I had to go back and study a little bit more. This group that I belong to, called the baby boomers, I assumed was the largest cohort moving through our population. Guess what, folks? It's not true. There's this little group of people called the Millennials, and it actually is a larger cohort than the baby boomers. So the baby boomers are that group that were born between 1945 and about 1964, so about a 19-year period. The Millennials, in a 15-year period from 1981 until 1996, actually there's more of them in a shorter period of time. What does that mean for us? Well, in terms of housing, what that means to us is because the average person in the U.S. buys their first home around 32 years of age, guess who's buying their first homes right now? It's a group bigger than the baby boomers. So it's that Millennials group, about 72 million of them, maybe a little bit more, 72 million, who are larger than the baby boomers of around a little over 70 million. Originally 70 million. Some of those, unfortunately, are no longer with us, but it's the sheer numbers of the Millennials that are moving through the market. So let's do a little bit of math. If the end of the Millennials was 1996, and we add 32 years, which is the average time for the first-time home buyer, that takes us on average to right around 2028 until the last ones have moved through. Guess what, folks? It's right now 2021, and 2028 gives us about 7 years, even if you cut that in half. The robust demand for housing based on the sheer numbers of Millennials is going to continue for the next 3, 4, 5 years, I would estimate. Perhaps even a little bit longer. So all of this, of course, is predicated on the fact that we're still going to have pretty good lending rates. That means the interest rates that mortgage lenders are charging for loans. It also is predicated on the fact that there's not going to be something crazy that happens with some worldwide event, never know. But in general, I expect to see continued robust demand for housing based on the sheer numbers of Millennials who are out there. Here's the other thing. When we talk about demand for housing, we can say, yeah, but Millennials aren't buying million-dollar houses. I'd agree with that. Some of them are, but not a lot. But all of these markets are interconnected. What happens at one portion of the price band affects all other levels of the price band because the marginal buyer will move up when they can't be competitive with all the Millennials in this range. They'll bump up, and that group gets super saturated, and they bump up to the next one. So everything that's going on at this price point is going to affect everything at the next highest price point. The sheer numbers of Millennials is going to continue to drive this super demand for housing for the foreseeable future. Thanks. If you have any questions about what's going on with housing, how you can be competitive to compete in this very, very competitive market, call us or email us. We're glad to assist.